Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bow News Network. We are tracking a lot of activity in the region of the Gulf of Mexico as well as the Atlantic. It seems like the hurricane season may be upon us a little bit sooner than we expected. As you already know, the hurricane season normally runs from June 1st to November 30th, but in this case we actually see quite a few disturbances in the region. So we're going to take a closer look at that also, but we're still battling severe moisture, low-level moisture, as well as a low-pressure system, not only in the region of Utah, but also a low-pressure system that's actually one of the disturbances near the Gulf of Mexico. One thing that we're also taking a closer look at is a pretty severe flash flood alert in the region of Baton Rouge. We're talking actually just a little bit to the west, southwest of Baton Rouge. There is a potential dam breach in that region that poses a threat to hundreds of residents in the region. It is just west of Donaldsonville and south of Baton Rouge in Louisiana. As you already know, this area has been completely saturated by extreme thunderstorm activity, as well as keep in mind also Lake Charles has been facing severe flash flooding, so they will receive ongoing precipitation rainfall going into the weekend, which was going to compound their event. You can see from the precipitation forecast that there is a section of area that's there just near the border of Texas and Louisiana and the Gulf Coast. We're also taking a closer look at a tropical disturbance 1 that has caught the eye of NOAA. It's about 300 miles to the northeast of Bermuda, and it has a 90% chance of a formation into some cyclonic activity. And then we have that number 2 disturbance, Invest 90L, that is actually in the Gulf of Mexico, a pretty well-defined low-pressure system, and that has the potential of bringing additional rainfall to the region of Texas and Louisiana. We do anticipate that will have a 60% chance of formation into a severe disturbance. So going forward, we do anticipate that there's going to be some severe, significant activity in the Gulf of Mexico and Atlantic. Of course, we saw this morning on our radar local spotter reports of snow falling in the Great Falls, Montana. We mentioned that to you in our previous forecast that we anticipate, based on the movement of that low pressure system, that there'll be snowfall in that region. Here you can see actually a little bit more of the defined, well-defined low pressure system as it spins in the Gulf of Mexico, and we anticipate that right now it's located at approximately 35 degrees north, 61.2 degrees west, and a maximum sustained winds of about 45 knots with gusts up to 55 knots. And also we're looking at a minimum central pressure approximately 1005 millibars, and the radius of circulation is quite unique. It's 200 in the range of 200 with environmental pressure of 1017 millibars. So it's quite well defined, and we anticipate that that's going to be bringing additional precipitation to the Texas, southeast Texas, and the area of Louisiana. We can take a closer look at some of the temperatures across the country at this time. We see that things are heating up quite a bit in Florida. we see that the temperatures of Fort Myers is 90 degrees. The areas of Georgia and Carolinas are going to be in a very hot zone. It's going to feel like almost the middle of summer for those residents in the deep southwest, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina going into next week. We can see that temperatures are pretty high, even in South Texas, but do keep in mind that even in the region of the Northwest, there's still areas, especially in Montana and Wyoming, that are still receiving a precipitatory mix of rain and snow. So there's quite a contrast of different types of weather systems that are still affecting the United States. And here we are almost entering into the middle of summer, and we're still talking about snow in Montana, even at relatively low elevation. If we take a closer look at our dew point forecast, we can see a well-defined area of mid-60s to upper 70s areas for the dew point, and that does signal severe saturation. We anticipate that coupled with the dew point forecasting that we see here, we anticipate that there's going to be along that dry line between the west and that dew point, especially in the region of Nebraska and Kansas. There's going to be very, very heavy thunderstorm activity right on the line between the borders of Colorado, Nebraska, as well as Kansas going into the weekend. We anticipate significant weather, severe thunderstorms with the possibility of large hail. Very, very high gusting winds is also a possibility. You can actually see in the Gulf of Mexico where that system is, you can actually see that it's actually interacting with the South Texas coastline also. But the southeast, Georgia, as well as Carolina should prepare for a significant increase in the temperature going into the weekend, whereas relatively for the southwest, it's going to be relatively cooler temperatures, especially for the northwest section. It will be relatively cooler with no significant kinds of heavy thunderstorms, except for possibility of some thunderstorm activity in the region of northern Utah as well as Wyoming. But we are taking a closer look at the Gulf of Mexico and how that Invest 90L will interact with the Texas coastline. We anticipate that it's going to bring additional rainfall to the region. We talked about that spot right there on the border of Nebraska and Kansas and Colorado, and we took a look at the convective available potential energy in that region, and we do see it hovering between 1,000 to 1,500, and that spells pretty much it gives us an indicator of the possibility of very, very intense thunderstorm activity in that region for the next 24 hours. But you can clearly see an injection of low-level moisture up through the plain states, up through Missouri, up through Iowa, up into Wisconsin. And with that said, we do anticipate that there's going to be there's marginal threats for the region of Madison, Wisconsin, as well as Cedar Rapids, Idaho, as far as severe thunderstorm activity, as well as hail and thunderstorms. But if we do go back to our video here for our radar, that is a very troubling spot for the flash flood advisory just south of Baton Rouge, because there's actually an evacuation zone due to a dam breach, aqua dam breach in that area. So we are taking a closer look and monitoring the situation in Iberville Parish to see exactly what's actually going to be moving forward. It pretty much spells exactly what's happening in that area between Lake Charles, Lafayette, New Orleans. And do keep in mind that this area is flood prone. If you remember several hurricanes in the previous pretty much spelled severe situations for that region also. So that is definitely an issue that we're taking a closer look at in this region. If we go forward, we also going to be taking a closer look at all the rain in the region of Beaumont is also on the radar for a marginal threat for Beaumont, Texas, as well as Lafayette, Louisiana, going forward into the weekend as far as a marginal thunderstorm threat. Excuse me. And as far as Scottsbluff, Nebraska, as well as Sterling, Colorado, also has a potential for a slight risk going into the weekend. We do anticipate that, as we mentioned, in this region, when it comes to thunderstorm activity in the region of the Gulf, that system, that Invest 90L, will possibly interact with additional low-level moisture that's actually seeping in, and the direction of the wind is coming up from the south. In most cases, actually directly south into that region of Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, as well as Idaho, going into the Dakotas. So that's definitely something that we're taking a closer look at. And here we are taking another look at our Invest 90L. It is definitely an issue for us because this is actually the beginning, one of the first disturbances of the 2021 season for severe storms. And as we mentioned in previous forecasts, we were concerned about how quickly sea surface temperatures of the Gulf of Mexico were actually picking up. But we can actually see that clearly defined rotation counterclockwise around this well-defined low-pressure system, and we can clearly see that it's almost as if it wants to develop a small eye, and that is not good, because definitely that means that conditions are very, very favorable for cyclonic action in the Gulf of Mexico, and we are over a week away from the beginning of June. As we go forward into our forecast, we do want to make sure that residents understand that that low pressure system has been anchored in the region of Utah and Wyoming, and it's going to be bringing additional precipitation out in the northwest region. As we go forward into the weekend, residents of the Nebraska, Kansas, as well as the Wyoming region should anticipate additional precipitation. There is a possibility of light snow at very higher elevations. We do anticipate that as this low pressure system transitions from the Great Basin further into the region of Montana, as well as North Dakota, South Dakota region, that we do anticipate that there will be additional rainfall along the lines of Nebraska, as well as Kansas. But we are taking a closer look at what's going to be happening with that line along the Gulf Coast, especially in the region of Louisiana, simply because of the saturation soil and the level of, if we take a closer look at what's called a precipitation precipitable water table in that region, we see that the soil is extremely saturated, which is going to, if they do receive additional rainfall, it's going to lead to additional flooding. So flash flooding advisories is also a major issue right now for the residents, and we are anticipating that if there's no further development with this Invest 90L that's actually in the Gulf of Mexico, that we anticipate that it will move to the northwest coast tonight with heavy rainfall anticipated in the southeastern Texas as well as southwestern Louisiana going into Saturday. But the main theme of this weather forecast is to encourage all residents in the region of southeast Texas as well as Louisiana, as well as even southern Arkansas, who have received significant amount of rainfall in the last few days, to be aware of flash flooding risk and advisories in your area. Most of the casualties from flash flooding occurs when people try to get in their cars and try to become mobile during flooding. There are all kinds of scenarios such as fallen limbs, down power lines, you name it. When you mix water and electricity, it means that there's also potential for electrocution. So we do want to reach out to our residents and our subscribers in that region.